And yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is coming back at you on a Monday after this weekend. Sports was abundant, especially the NFL. We also know before the weekend had started, well, you had college football. We now know the two teams that are going to be in the first advanced, or I guess expanded CFP college football playoffs championship game. Notre Dame, Ohio State get together. The Midwest will be represented in a big way. The Big Ten, and of course, Notre Dame, independent, the only team that can really do that right now, outside of the military academies who chose not to be independent. Nevertheless, the NFL always reigns supreme, especially this time of year. And we got what we got this past weekend. What's up?
What's up? Let me just start off by giving Cam Newton the two finger salute. He's on TV crying, Notre Dame's not in the conference. They don't have to play the conference championship game and blah, blah, blah. Man, they thoroughly handled Georgia. You
Yep.
know, and the SEC is supposed to be a badass conference. Georgia posed almost no threat to them in that game. So fuck out of here with your bullshit. Stop whining, Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton coming from Florida, going to Auburn, getting his Heisman Trophy, number one pick in the draft. That SEC shillism going on, but I think it was pretty easily decipherable this year to know that it was the Big Ten, the best conference in college football. The SEC has the clout, so they were able to get teams in there, but we saw what happens to those teams. And Gunnar Thornton, I keep calling him Thornton, Gunnar Stockton for Georgia getting the chance to play because Carson Beck is injured now down in Miami through the transfer portal. So I guess the excuses could be there because I did have a Georgia person send me a message afterwards saying, I like the future of this team with the quarterback. So this is just a learning process, a coping mechanism. Nevertheless, Notre Dame's back at the national championship game, looking to win their first one since 1988. But man, Ohio State all of a sudden just blowing teams out one after the other. They just got it together. But I'm still thinking Notre Dame should be able to keep it close and possibly win this game. I was handicapping it. I thought I could handicap it. I was like, before it came out, 3.5 to 5.5 is where it should be. It comes out at 9.5 for Ohio State. I'm still going with Notre Dame with the number.
Yeah, I would too. That seems pretty wide to me. Um, Notre Dame's went through some very good teams, and I, watching Ohio State and Texas early, I thought it was going to be a blowout. I thought it was going to be like 42-10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. Ohio State started really quickly, and then Texas, I guess, settled into the game, and they were able to slow them down on defense, and then eventually they were able to score. But Ohio State came right back with that quick strike. Um, and then Texas gets down to the goal line. Looks like they could be playing for overtime, and they bungled that situation. But you gotta give credit to Ohio State because that DN
Yep.
came, made that play, scoop and score. I was like, oh hell no, he's going to the house. This one's over. And I'm looking for like a wide receiver or somebody, but I'm like, man, them receivers been in the end zone, they ain't catching them.
They ain't catching them.
And,
No.
and no, ain't nobody made a good effort to catch them. So Ohio State definitely should be the favorite, but I think Notre Dame they just have some. This ain't your typical Notre
No, it
Dame.
isn't. Exactly.
It's
I
not
was
your Notre
telling
Dame
someone that.
team that shows up and gets blitzed and embarrassed.
It's not even a Marcus Freeman being the black coach thing. It's Marcus Freeman finally being a great coach or showing that he could be a great coach with this Notre Dame team. And going back to Cam Newton complaining being the shield for the SEC as he is, and like a lot of others, he Notre Dame didn't. They're not in the conference, but they also had a tougher road because they weren't in the conference. They had to go on the road and win. They had to go on the road and play. And so when these other teams, even when in the round where everyone had the home games, well, Notre Dame didn't have a home game. And then, of course, in the second round, you didn't have home games. You just went to your respective bowls. But,
Right.
Notre Dame had to go the hard way. It's like the wild card that would happen in the NFL. Notre Dame did it, and they're here. And that 9.5 seems a little large to me, but I'm not saying that Ohio State can't do something to it. But this Notre Dame team, I don't think it's really about one individual player. This is a very good team without really any huge standout. In the past, you had those standout players that identify themselves as a Notre Dame player and the one you needed to watch. I don't think they have that this year. Ryan Leonard. is not a good quarter. I mean, not a good quarterback, but he's nothing special.
Right. They seem to be a very resilient and gritty group.
That's it.
Things weren't going their way early against Penn State, and you might be thinking, "Oh, the jig is up," but they
Yeah.
hung in there. Then they eventually took control of the game, and you just got to give Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman credit. I don't know if he's looking to go elsewhere, but I'm hearing his name. People
Yeah.
want to talk to him.
Yep, they're rightfully so, because he's been in the NFL before. People talked about him. We know about him. If you watch NFL football, you've heard his name. You know that he's been out there. But doing what he's done, coaching wise, and I hate that it keeps coming down to the first black coach. First black coach. This dude is just a coach who's doing his job and doing a damn good job. Got his players where they need to be, where they want to be, and with the best opportunity in college football, at least for this season or this past season, playing against Ohio State. I'm thinking the under's written all over this thing because of Notre Dame's defense. There's been times this past season where Ohio State stalled several times. Will Howard wasn't looking like that special quarterback they thought they had at the beginning of the school year. I thought that he was pretty good, but I don't think he's anything special. These days, being pretty good could be good enough. I'm thinking he could be pretty good here, but it might not be good enough against this Notre Dame team that plays so much like a team. They don't need that one person relying on. Everybody backs up the next guy.
Right. I mean, if you look at that Texas game, they had the defensive score, and then they had that screenplay where Texas got caught with their pants down, and Ohio State took it. What was it, like 80 some yards or 90 yards? I don't. You take that one play away, you take that scoop and score away. They scored 14 points. So I don't see their offense as being a juggernaut.
Now, what are your opinion of Ryan Day? Now that you kind of moved on a little bit, he's getting a chance to game after game. They've been just more explosive lately, more so than any time in the season, playing real teams. They did it blowing out the poor sisters that they play every year in the beginning of the season. But now they're just blowing teams out, man. That Michigan game I thought was the nail in the coffin for them, but they pushed it on, man. They're able to put these points up, and the defense is showing up when they need to show up, getting those opportunistic scores. And that's not something you necessarily count on going into a game that our defense will get a turnover that turns into points. You're just hoping they're disruptive enough so your offense can do what they need to do.
You have to give Ryan Day credit and his staff and the players credit. When they lost to Michigan, you're thinking, oh boy, he's on the hot seat. If they get bounced early in the playoff, he could be out of there. And they've handled business. Not only handled business, but they got their get back against Oregon. They beat the hell out of them.
Yeah.
That one wasn't even a game. So that could be a what's the term in disguise?
Well, blessing in
Um
disguise that they lost to another Illinois or something.
yeah, because no,
Oh
I'm
no,
saying the Michigan game.
oh, the Michigan.
You know,
Yeah, bro, I
that
don't know
one
what
could have
was that.
maybe gotten them refocused and be like, look, you can't just show up and win. You got to go out there motivated, focused, and ready to play. And maybe that worked out for them. That was in their best interest.
Yeah, because Ryan Day was up against it, and he more than made up for it. That Michigan game going into it, I figured even before the season started, there's no question they're going to beat Michigan this year. Michigan had absolutely nothing but defense, and that defense came to play. But then he also was running the ball crazy as well. But yeah, now we got our national championship teams playing one another, 9.5 point favorite. I'm thinking they're going to bet it down a little bit to maybe 9 or even 8.5, because I think the real money starts coming in not on Notre Dame because they have the money, and even the homers are going to bring it down a little bit. But I think the reality is that Notre Dame has a legitimate chance to win. I doubt they'll get blown out. This might be one of those nail biters, this Midwestern thing going on, when guys hardcore just run the ball like they did against Penn State, at least Notre Dame, how they played Penn State, just grinding it out football.
Yeah, I hope it's a good game. Um, I I dislike Notre Dame less than I do Ohio State, so I'm going for the Irish.
Man, you know what? I'm going with my sense. I'm thinking that Notre Dame is going to win, but I don't want them to win because, of course, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. Catholics and convicts from 1988 is one of the reasons why. But being a New Yorker and dealing with all of those other Notre Dame fans is the reason why I didn't want to deal with them, even though I was like the only Cane in the area. And then Ohio State, we already know with that Miami situation in the Fiesta Bowl back in the day, that goes without saying. I hope they both lose, but that's not going to happen. So we're not, you can't get it tied. You can't, when they can't both lose, somebody's going to win. I'm thinking Notre Dame has every capability to win this game just because of their team play. Maybe the clock strikes 12 and Cinderella slipper goes off or comes off, or the pumpkin, the carriage turns into a pumpkin that night, and Ohio State stops scoring all those points they've been scoring lately and having all those opportunities they had before. So we'll get a chance to see that after it happens. But the NFL happened yesterday, the playoffs completely deep. And I think the one of the better games in terms of name games was the Pittsburgh Steelers in Baltimore. Pittsburgh, though, going into this game, losing 4 straight, now 5 straight. Derrick Henry, a lot of what we talked about at the beginning of the season, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, bro, they turned it up, and you do not want to see Derrick Henry in an 18th game. And you hurt, and it showed that he ran right through the defense.
Right. I believe Baltimore ran for 298 yards,
They played him like they
or
did, like one of the
at
military
least
academies.
Lamar Jackson and Henry combined. I don't know if that was the total or not, but I saw with maybe 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Henry had 19 carries for 162 yards, and then they gave him the ball, so that was his 20th carry. So I called for like at least 25 carries, and he ended up right around there. And I truly believe that's their formula, especially going against Buffalo. You want to keep that offense off the field. Buffalo is rolling right now. They can put points on the board, and the longer you keep Josh Allen on the sideline, the better off you'll be.
Oh, absolutely. And they can't control the ball with their running game. So even if they stack the line, you still have Lamar Jackson throwing the ball a lot better than I thought he was throwing it this season. And by the way, Baltimore did have 299 yards on the ground. They treated them like Army and Navy treats teams when they just stay in that option and just run up and down the field. But
It was
man,
crazy. Lamar had, I think, 5 or maybe 6 carries in a row in the first half. They kept calling RPOs, and the ends were crashing.
he was just
He was
getting it.
killing them, man. He
He was
kept it,
killing
and
them.
he picking up 7, 8, 12.
But how many times this season have either you spoken about it or I spoken about how up and down we don't know which Lamar we're going to get today, and we wonder how he's going to play. But then we look at the freaking numbers at the end of the day. The dude had 41 touchdowns and only 4 picks on the season. What ups and downs? What the hell are we talking about? How did that happen?
He did have some clunkers though, man.
He
They
had some
lost some games
clunkers,
they
but
shouldn't have.
41 and 4, 41 touchdowns and 4
I
interceptions for
know.
the season. This dude's a legitimate. I mean, he was already a legitimate Heisman Trophy, a legitimate MVP. But I even put Derrick Henry in front of him because I thought Saquon Barkley and Josh Allen were kind of interchangeable. And then I said maybe Derrick Henry now needs to be number 3 instead of Lamar Jackson. Looking at those freaking numbers, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? We're talking ups and downs. How many ups and downs did he have?
Well, like I mentioned, he did have a couple clunkers before they really got rolling down the stretch of the season. I mean, remember they weren't leading the division the entire season.
No, they weren't.
They had
But
lost some games they shouldn't have early.
But typically, when you talk about Lamar Jackson, you're talking about him throwing picks, inopportune moments. But 4 picks for the entire season. If he did that 3 times, 3 separate times, and multiple times in one game, I mean, that's still forgivable. And they're still here. 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's something I wasn't
Yeah,
even thinking about.
he didn't
And
even tell the world like Dak did last year. I'm not going to throw 10 interceptions.
yeah, he just got over it too. He just didn't do it. And by the way, since you brought Dak up, Mike McCarthy was just fired by the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
So
I know.
some more another opening
That's
coaching job.
another Bears candidate. I don't know why they refused or denied the Bears permission to speak with
Exactly.
him. 3 days later, they whack him.
So they can speak to him now. And
Right.
Mike Vrabel, the first one
I
to
don't
get a
want him.
job now, up in New England. Mike Vrabel has the job, former Patriot, got 3 championships with them, and Ohio State guy. Come on, I mean,
Yeah, that was
and
almost a given considering his Patriot background and all.
yeah, I thought, you know what? That's who they should have gone to begin with. He was free
Right.
last week. Yeah. He was free
Right.
last year. They should have gone to him instead of this Jared Mayo nonsense that blew up in their faces. I don't know why they did it, but well, I kind of have an idea. But Mike
Hey,
Vrabel did a hell of a job in freaking Tennessee. I can't even really blame him for the team just falling apart. He lost players. I mean, it wasn't the core players, and that's the way the NFL is anyway. So it's not like it was any different for him than others. But he was a damn good coach when things was going well, and he was a damn good coach when dudes were in their prime. Winning with freaking Tannehill, come on.
yeah, and you mentioned Saquon Barkley earlier. Um, man, I got so much respect for that man. He didn't go for the record. He knew it would have been a bogus record.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the game yesterday, he breaks out and he
It
could go
fall.
to the house, but he slid. And they asked him why did he slide. I mean, they can run out the clock without any shenanigans. He goes and
Yeah,
scores. Now the other team gets the ball back. They score. Maybe there's an onside kick. Who knows what happens. But he ended the game for all intents and purposes. And he's like, well, what if I pull a hammy? Or what if one of my guys trying to come down and block, he pulls a hammy? Now we're screwed for next week.
yep.
You can tell he don't care about the numbers. He didn't care about scoring. He didn't care about breaking a
Team
long
guy.
run. Yeah, he wants that trophy, and you can only respect a guy like that, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember listening to the commentators. I can't remember who they were, and they were talking about I couldn't have been that classy. I couldn't have been like that. I couldn't have been the guy who just slid. I remember Maurice Jones-Drew did the same kind of thing as well years
Hmm.
ago. So it's very rare that it happens when you look at this age where there are so many stat whores out there who want to just get the stats, don't care about the win. Hey, you know what? Looking that far ahead, playing chess and not checkers, I don't want my offensive lineman probably getting hurt. I don't want myself getting hurt. I don't want somebody on the team getting hurt just because of one play. Because we do know in the NFL that one damn play, man, we've seen it too often where that
Right.
one play when it was unnecessary became an issue. So yeah, but Saquon Barkley just I don't know. I can't even say I apologize. Initially I did because I thought he was a typical Penn State running back. They've never been that good in the NFL. We had Larry Johnson, who kind of broke the stigma of Penn State running backs. We had the first Kurt Warner years ago with Seattle, but there were so many other Penn State running backs who came through. Not Leroy Horde. I'm about to say Leroy Horde from freaking Michigan. But yeah, Leroy Thompson coming from coming from Penn State. They was expecting him to be a good player. You had some kid named Stephen Pitts years ago, didn't wasn't even a starter for Penn State, but they were talking him up. Eric McCool, so many doggone players came out of there. Larry Johnson, though, he did carry it for a minute. But Saquon Barkley, being in New York, wasting his career, and then goes to the division rival, gets his money, shows that he's
Saquon's the
more than
truth.
worth the money.
Saquon's the truth, man.
Yeah, he is. There's no question about it. There's no, come on, there's no more about this is a Penn State thing. No, this is a damn good running back here. And as long as he stays healthy,
And
he's gonna
you
he's gonna be formidable.
you know who else is on his way to being the truth? Jaden Daniels.
Oh,
Baker
oh,
Mayfield. I mean, the Bucks had that game, man. He can't make a handoff. He can't punch it in, or I don't know. Something happened with the snap. The center snapped the ball. Nobody moves. They lose yardage. Um, the Washington looked like the more composed team, the more experienced team,
yeah.
and they're led by a rookie. And Jaden Daniels, like they kicked that field goal to tie it. No, okay, well, I'm gonna just drive us down and win it at the end. That's exactly what happened. Gotta tip your hat to that kid, man.
He's doing pretty much what CJ Stroud did last year, but I think there's even more upside with him. I don't want to just crap on CJ Stroud like he's not doing anything or hasn't done anything even in his second year. It looks like he regressed this past season, but look, they're still winning playoff games. Oh, well, playoff games so far, and then moving on. Second year with him, and he's still being the reason why they get there. But Jaden Daniels, I mean, all year, the way he started, we're talking about he was up there with all time greats with efficiency for a while before it
Yeah,
started getting a little bit realistic. But then he had that little lull when people started questioning him, like they would question the rookie anyway, the rookie wall, all that nonsense. And then he picks it up again. And of course, they go with the number. It's been over 7,000 days since the Redskins have won, or the Washington has won a playoff game. Well, now here you go. New ownership, new everything, and new franchise quarterback. And here you go.
yeah. He might lose his offensive coordinator though. We'll see if that affects him.
and
Cliff
that's true. But
Kingsbury.
and yeah, Cliff Kingsbury's getting a job. I mean, there's way too many jobs available out there. I mean, I wouldn't mind having him with the Jets, but then we got to find a
I wouldn't
quarterback.
mind having them with the Bears.
Yeah, yeah, he's a creative young quarterback. I remember his days at
OC.
Te- Texas Tech. Huh?
You said quarterback. I said OC.
No, I say he was a good quarterback when
Oh,
he
he
played at
was.
Texas
I
Tech.
got you. Okay.
He
Yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah.
good quarterback when he played at Texas Tech when Mike Leach was just throwing like 80 times a game. So you had that freaking fluky offense that he came out of, and then he came into the NFL doing a lot, not that way, but being innovative, one of the young innovative coaches coming into the league. So I wouldn't mind as a Jets take him. I mean, Rex Ryan's still out there. You have so many names out there now, and I think everybody's still waiting for Ben Johnson. But I think Detroit's allowing people to interview him.
Yeah,
I
he interviewed with the Bears on Saturday.
Probably because that's close by. Probably, right,
Well,
not
no, it was a virtual interview.
virtual.
It was like a
Oh,
Zoom
because
meeting.
I'm like, yo, bro,
So it didn't matter. Distance didn't matter.
because I'm thinking about what you were saying last week about flying them in and treating them
They're
like a kid.
doing all their initial meetings via Zoom.
Yeah, that's a good creation for them, a good invention for them to be able to pull that off. Yeah, because this guy needs to concentrate on winning the next game because he's had a week off. Now he's going to be at home next week. And I know Detroit, and no one wants their season to end, but Detroit, the way they've been playing, and then you look at what Kansas City has been doing in Buffalo, those are the top three teams. And Philadelphia had their lull, came back, looked a lot better now. But those are the teams that kind of stayed up there for a pretty long time. Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City. They've been up there like practically the entire season. There were no lulls.
Yeah. And speaking of CJ Stroud, he gets his shot at Patrick Mahomes next week. That should be interesting. I fully expect the Chiefs to pull it out, but if CJ gets hot, who knows? Maybe they can put some points on the board and keep it interesting.
Well, yeah, they were able to take care of the Chargers, making Justin Herbert throw 4 interceptions. But my dude, man, my rookie of the year, he's not going to get it because Jaden easily has that award this year. I mean, no one's even in consideration outside of Jaden Daniels. But Lat McConkey, man, putting up those numbers, almost got 200 yards receiving in the playoffs. He welcomed himself to the playoffs and just did his things. But I'm about to call him Bobby Haber, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, man, Bobby Abrams, what's going on? Way back in the day with those damn Saints. But yeah, but man, I'm expecting this guy to eventually start playing elite all the time instead of showing you glimpses. You shouldn't be showing glimpses this late in your career. He's been in there 5 years now. You can't be showing glimpses 4 or 5 years. You're still just showing glimpses instead of consistency.
Yeah. Did you see what RG3 said?
No.
He's saying that he wants to see media go at Justin Herbert like they do Dak Prescott or when Lamar Jackson fails, or otherwise it's racist.
Here we go with that again. Well, with Dak, at least it comes down to America's team. So there's almost always eyeballs on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. So there's always going to be something. It just happens to be a black quarterback who's in Dallas. So it's going to come across as whatever they want it to come across. The race pimps love this kind of thing because they've always playing the victim mentality and everybody's always after them like the boogeyman or something. But I don't think that's an issue with that. Lamar Jackson, well, look at what Lamar Jackson is doing. Now, Lamar Jackson's had many opportunities and bites at the apple, so we got a chance to see him in the playoffs so many times. Justin Herbert hasn't gotten there yet, so to the point to where we see him time and time again. What happens if he goes in next year and then he looks like he finally took that step forward and starts becoming a great quarterback instead of still showing glimpses this late in his career? Now, if he goes into the playoffs and starts losing and doing boneheaded things and not looking anything like the regular season, then he deserves everything he gets, just like
Is that
Lamar
his first
Jackson did.
playoff game?
I think that was his first playoff game. Yeah, remember they weren't going anywhere before, but Jim Harbaugh.
That's true.
So
we'll see. But yeah, good weekend of football. The Ravens Steelers was anticlimactic. The Ravens were in control pretty much the whole game. The Bills were pretty much in control the whole game. But if you like watching good football, Derrick Henry running the ball, Lamar Jackson running the ball, Josh Allen running and throwing the ball.
Oh man, that dude's a freak, man. Josh Allen, big as he
it,
is.
It was still quality football, although the games weren't dramatic. The Washington Tampa Bay game was, but it was still quality football being played.
And James Cook running that rock the way he was running it, man. I like
Yeah.
that one run where he made that 16-yard run where he was just dragging guys, and they made it seem like the offensive line. Yeah, they came in towards the tail end. But I think the dude was pushing it, man. He was getting after it. He got away out there. And but he showed a lot of desire in that game. But Josh Allen, to be as big as he is and have that strong arm and playing in that Buffalo Bills weather, whoo, that Bills weather is just everybody knows Green Bay, Buffalo, when Minnesota didn't have a dome, those cold places. But we already know those deals, man. But Denver, I mean, Bo Nix not looking bad, but you can look at it and chalk it up as I don't even know if they do really chalk it up these days as well. He's a rookie because we've now seen rookies that are going in there and just taking over in the playoffs, like C.J. Stroud. Now Jaden Daniels, the same class as Jaden Daniels, just picked later. Bo Nix looks okay, but then he starts showing right away he's a rookie. But he had a lot of drops too. Oh my God, he had a lot of drops.
Yeah, you saw a lot of this from him. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
come on, why are you dropping that?
these guys was dropping it like what,
That's
man?
unfortunate.
Yeah,
But that's something to build on for that franchise. Nobody expected them to go to the
no,
playoffs this year.
exactly. No one
So
expected that. No one expected that. You have Zach Wilson as your backup. You think he's going to get in it eventually because Bo Nix can't get it right. But all that experience that Bo Nix ended up getting from playing all of that college football probably paid off. And Sean Payton was just laughed at last year because of all the things he was saying and his team didn't deliver. Now you got your quarterback, and that's what Sean Payton specializes with, those young quarterbacks and his offense. And they got this far. So let's hope that the next step is, going even deep for his sake at least, going deeper into the playoffs. And Bo Nix seeing what he can do. The biggest difference, the biggest improvement you're making is from season 1 to season 2. You get those off-season workouts and all that, and you're supposed to be a new player compared to the previous season when you're a rookie. Now, CJ Stroud, on the other hand, didn't necessarily look like he did last year, but they're in the same spot. They're in the playoffs and they won a game. He's still
right.
there.
So Denver's biggest problem is they're in the same division as the Chiefs.
Yeah,
So they're gonna have to deal with Mahomes. Um, but I mean, this is maybe off the wall, but if the Chiefs win this year, does Andy Reid retire? Like, how long
I'm
can Andy
thinking,
Reid?
man. I'm thinking.
How
I'm
long can
thinking that's
Andy
what's gonna.
Reid go?
If they
You
get a
know,
three-peat, he's done. I think he's done. There's nothing else for him to do but
right?
wait around to
Like,
get becoming a Hall of Famer.
yeah. I'm not saying I wish he retires, but
Andy
the
Reid is
the
likable,
man's up
man.
there in age. He has to think about his health, family time, and all of that.
Hmm.
And you said it. What else can he achieve? You
And
know,
if he gets the
if he,
three-peat, forget it. Forget it, man. That's
right.
history.
So, but you never know. He might be greedy. He's like, I want forward. I'm going to coach until I lose.
Man, the
We'll see.
grinding, the grind that it takes to be an NFL coach, a coach on any high level, but the NFL in particular, because not only you're in there doing the X's and O's and overseeing, you're talking about even something as simple as going to the games and being in the cold weather and all the other stuff you got to do on the
Yeah.
sidelines. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a
How
grind too,
many
man.
frozen mustaches does he want to have?
I want icicles with a mustache.
Snot, Snotsicles, coming
Oh,
out his nose.
freaking Warris going on, man. Got some Warris action going. It's ironic you left out one of the games, like the Green Bay game.
Well, I talked about Saquon.
Oh yeah, well, about Green Bay losing that game, Jordan Love not looking well in that game
Oh
either.
man, Bears fans are going crazy. Bears in 2025 are 1-0. The Packers are 0-2.
Man, and only one team out of the freaking NFC North didn't go to the playoffs, and right now, well, that's the Chicago Bears. Tonight, because of the wildfires, we have Minnesota playing tonight.
In Arizona against the
Yeah, in
Rams.
Arizona against the Rams. So the Rams, another team, not necessarily sneaking, as long as they have Sean McVay. Give the guy props, man. I thought he was just playing games when he was talking about I might retire, this and that, on the other play. He's looking for attention. This dude's a damn good coach, man. Doing it without
Yeah,
Aaron Donald.
I think they're healthy now, and that offense can put up points. They're scary.
Yeah, they really can, man. Was it Puka Nakua? He's
Uh-huh.
legit. He's legit, man. I thought last year was kind of flukish, but I don't know. Probably because you're not even expecting a fifth rounder to go out and do that. But then he's injured for the beginning of the season, comes back, dude picks up where he left off, still a difference maker. They still don't have any answers for him, and he's still making plays. And man, and Matt Stafford, I never was big on Matt Stafford, especially even being the number one overall pick. I just never big on him, but he's getting the job done too. And he's not doing it spectacularly. They're doing it as a team. Another one of those teams. His
Yeah,
numbers, his numbers never really looked that great. It's like everyone around him just ended with nice numbers, and things just work well for the team. Obviously, they're in the playoffs. He just happens to be in attendance.
yeah. So we have to we have to wait and see what that crowd looks like. Is it going to be mostly Rams, or are people more concerned about their homes and not worried about
Yeah,
football?
exactly. For real.
They're going to be more Vikings fans there because we're thinking it's a road game for the Vikings, but not if Rams fans don't show up.
Yeah, that's the truth. And but this past season, did you see some of those Rams games where they weren't a whole bunch of I mean, the fans were coming, but it wasn't that enthusiastic fan, or is that just an LA thing because they've been ridiculed in the past about their lack of enthusiasm when it comes to their fair weather ways with their fans, with their teams?
The only Rams game I watched in its entirety was against the Bears, and the Bears beat them. But the Rams weren't healthy. They didn't have the receivers, so the Bears were able to outscore them. I think that game was like 17-13 or something, or 13-10. I can't even remember, but there wasn't a lot of offense in that game.
Well, now this is over. Now we get a chance to see next week's games that are coming up. Now that everything's been well, other than tonight's game is going to kind of decide the other game that's going to be played. But so far, the games we have for this Houston going to Kansas City, it's going to be cold, man. Another one, there's that cold front that's coming through the Midwest and everywhere else. Even here in Florida, there's a cold front, and then Washington going up to Detroit. Detroit's been scoring some ridiculous points, man. I saw it firsthand when they beat the hell out of the Jaguars. Like, damn. I mean, the Jaguars aren't one of these playoff teams, but they just put numbers up out of habit, it seems. And I see why Ben Johnson's getting the props. He's getting helping run that offense. It's just and Jared Goff. I was never sold on Jared Goff. Still not. I'm still giving Ben Johnson more credit than I'm giving Jared Goff, but the numbers are there.
I'll tell you what,
And running
watching
game.
that Bills game yesterday, I like Joe Brady as an OC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like his play calling.
Well, when
And people have mentioned him for the Bears.
when you have a player like that that's helping you orchestrate, I mean, it's hard to look bad. I mean, really, I mean, it really is, man. But I
Yeah,
think
but if you're a terrible play caller, you can mess up a good
yeah, well,
thing.
we've seen bad play callers before. I mean, yeah, there's been a bunch of crappy play callers
I
before.
mean, you don't know how many times I've yelled at the TV, "Take that Denny's menu away from that motherfucker already." Man."
My man looking at the joint, trying to get a grand slam in a football game from a Denny's menu. But yeah, man. So uh, we have the game tonight. Minnesota playing the Rams, a lot on the Rams' minds. So do they win because of that, or do they lose because of that? Because those players got homes over there too. I don't know how many of those players' homes is in jeopardy, but you just can't compartmentalize like that to that degree to where I'm just going to concentrate on football and not think about what's going on.
Yeah, how can you not think about it? So, like,
Yeah,
let's say they left LA on Thursday, and so they're not really getting the updates. Not knowing can be worse than actually knowing
yeah.
because your mind plays games with you and you think the worst. I'd rather know what's going on than not know what's going on. So I don't know what the situation is with those players. I don't know if they're getting the updates, if they're in communication with family members. Um, I don't know how it, their hearts really gonna be in it. You know, Maybe if players only play in LA and don't live in LA, they don't have those same issues.
But
But the
even in the
ones that
surrounding
live in
areas,
the the ones that live in LA, how can they not have that weighing on
and
their
that's
brain?
true. And you hope it's not the key players. You hope it's not any player, let alone a key player. It's just an awkward situation for anybody to be in. Even if your house isn't burning down, you're talking about the overall health because of the air quality, all of these things. I mean, it's just I've heard about how, I have a friend who lives out there, and he's talking about the air quality, and
I
he's
mean,
further
I
away.
I saw a report where one practice, one of the players left in his cleats, and he just jumped in his truck and took off. And the reporter said, "What's going on?" It's like he's going home. They got to evacuate.
Damn right.
That was like on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I don't know who that player was, but what's his state of mind right now?
And that's true. And he probably is the one they caught on camera, man. I don't know what these other guys may be thinking as well. I I can't even fathom that, really. This is your job. You're taught to compartmentalize as an athlete. You got to this level because you're able to do it better than most in terms of being able to focus on that one thing and don't let everything around you just deter you from what you're trying to do. This is something catastrophic, especially these guys with families. And I mean a whole lot. It's a property thing, but it's a family thing. I think just even more so. But man, it's just awkward. Just awkward. What more can you do? What more can you say? You can't really do much of anything.
Man, I don't know. I feel I have to mention this. The reports that insurance has dropped, fire insurance, and these people aren't going to get reimbursed, or like they don't have fire coverage. What kind
Yeah.
of bullshit is that?
Yep. Man, these insurance companies, man. Oh my God. I think State Farm dropped like 70,000 people before this even happened. And they did it on purpose because they like to get their money. I mentioned it to somebody else that how, yeah, of course, everybody likes to get their money in their profession, but these insurance people with State Farm and so forth, insuring these houses, but you're in California. So of course you have the earthquakes to deal with anyways. And then the wildfires that happen pretty frequently in California as well. When there's too many people getting insurance policies, it could bankrupt you. So you kind of get rid of some of these people. As much as it's good to have them all when they're just paying and nothing's happening, but it's inevitable. So you drop these people for your own good because it would bankrupt the company. It's it's bad. Your business and you know being a good person, sometimes they don't go hand in hand. But
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense for what they're
but
doing, though.
when CEOs get murdered, I mean,
Well, I'm never gonna.
I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying I understand.
Yeah, I can see why some crackpot would do something like that. Normal people probably wouldn't. They'll just stay pissed off. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense though for the business model. You're not getting into business out of the goodness of your heart exclusively. You're there to make money, and you've been in the business for quite some time, and you see a business model, and you realize that you're in a high risk area. When the getting is good, you like to do it, but then you know that something's eventually going to happen. You got to save your own butt. You got to cut some people off because if you didn't, well, this fire happens or the earthquake happens or some other natural disaster happens, you're caught. I mean, it's going to bankrupt you. It could possibly bankrupt you. It's damn. It's a
It happens.
Yeah, exactly. It happens. It sucks that it's even like that, but that's just one of the things that's how it goes. Is here in Florida. Come on, man. We have over 1 million lightning strikes a year. The only state in the entire country that does have 1 million plus lightning strikes a year. And so that's why the insurance here is so high. And I'm surprised we don't have as many wildfires as we probably should have here, probably because of that swampland down there. But it isn't just happening down there; it's all over Florida, over 1 million. And I can see. I spoke to some people that I know whose insurance has gone up. It's not an adjustable rate mortgage, but you go from paying $1,500 a month to now you're paying 2 grand a month because your insurance went up. Bro, some people can't take that hit right there.
Yeah, it's bogus, man.
Unexpected hit. Like, damn, what? An extra five, man. Come on. Yo. But that's huh, the business of living and the business of business. I guess that's what it comes down to. But
So
man,
let me ask you a question. We haven't talked basketball much this year. Um, so the Warriors went to Indianapolis the other day,
hmm
and Steph was out, Draymond was out. I was like, man, I understand if they're really injured, but they go to Indianapolis once a year. They go to Chicago once a year. They go to New York once a year. They go to Cleveland once a year. And if they're missing those type of games, those fans get screwed, man.
Yeah,
And that really irks the shit out of me. But I saw a video where Steph invited a whole bunch of kids to meet him because he felt bad because he wasn't playing.
Steph has always been that dude, though, man. Steph is just that dude, man. Just a good guy, just an overall good guy, man. Not too many players are like that. I don't know. I don't know everyone's story behind the scenes of how they're interacting with people. Period. But Steph has been one of those guys you can just, if you had to guess, if he hadn't done anything, you had to guess somebody was going to do something nice. It would probably he'll be up there. Him, Giannis, a couple of those guys.
Yeah, but I didn't get to ask my question. Would you rather meet him or would you rather watch him play?
Shoot, man, you came to watch him play, man. You came to watch him play. You know what I mean? You could go to
But I guess if he's legitimately injured, get
if he's
into meet
legitimately
him.
injured, yo, I'd rather watch him play. But if that's the consolation prize, go ahead and get it.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably signed jerseys and all that stuff. So I don't know. I was just it just bothers me. Players don't play back to backs, and you
The
go to
new
a
NBA.
town once a year and you don't play in that game. Um, because I got to see Dr. J one time. He came to Chicago. I saw I was watching the Bulls game like on a Friday night, and they showed the upcoming schedule, and Philly was coming to town. I think it was the following Tuesday or Wednesday. I ran to my dad. I told him Dr. J's coming. Dr. J's coming. He took me to that game. And if Dr. J didn't play, you know how heartbroken I would have been. I was
For
like
real, right?
8 or 9 years old, man. I'm like, who's playing small forward tonight? What? Oh man,
Some no name, no
man,
praise,
you
dude.
talk about being pissed off. I'd have been the most pissed off 8, 9 year old kid ever. But Doc played and did his thing, and that's one of my lifelong
Exactly, memories.
memories, man.
But the NBA is enabling these players to do the same. Giving them this time off, and I think you have to do it now because not only they're more athletic, but the contracts they have, they're making so much money. You can't really risk them all the time anymore, even though that's their job to play. I guess they have to rest these players now because of that kind of an investment.
I guess.
It sucks. It's not good for fans. Have you been watching more NBA now since it's past Christmas? And the NFL still rules every damn thing.
No,
Yeah,
no. I mean, I'm still battling this bug I've had for a couple weeks.
man,
But
serious.
yeah, I haven't watched any basketball. I see clips here and there. I saw Wimby did that up and under
Yeah, Wimby,
finger roll.
man.
That was crazy. They're like, how can a 7'5" do that?
That
Seven
dude's
five
just
foot dude
nasty.
do that.
They can just
Wimby's
do it.
he's a freak of nature, man.
Absolute from the outside, inside,
Eh,
man. The way
Like, can
his
you
footwork.
imagine if he incorporates finger rolls into his game,
Oh,
like ice? A finger roll from the dotted line, finger roll from the free throw
look at
line.
all off. Was
Yeah,
he
ain't no
working?
one's ever gonna block it.
Was he working with Dream in the offseason?
I
That
think so.
footwork shows,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
hey, every big man should work with Dream, man. Get
that's
work on
true.
that footwork.
Man, and he's doing it, man. He's doing it all over the place. I know they threw an alley oop to him a couple of nights ago. He had that 2-inch vertical to, to execute it. Come on. The dude doesn't even have to do anything. He got like a 2-inch vertical, make it look good. But I didn't know when he came into the league, he has potential. We don't know a lot about him. We hear about him just like anybody else outside of the US or people who really, really get down and dirty looking for him out there in France or in Europe. And then, okay, he has the potential to be nice. He's tall. Reminded me of Porzingis. Okay, Porzingis was another skinny dude coming in, almost the same dimensions, a little shorter, obviously, but he was a unicorn. This dude comes in and he just felt him out a little bit last year. His second year, he just absolutely has been killing it. I just hope he doesn't get injured because he's still slight in the body.
he he shoots sometimes 3 pointers off one leg, man.
Mm, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You can't
I don't
defend it.
know. And yeah, I don't know.
It's
This is
blocked.
totally random. Um, but Isaiah Thomas, you know how he's still whining about not making the dream team.
Isaiah always
He
complaining about
says
something.
the Bulls only beat them because they're old. Okay, if the Bulls beat you because you're old, then maybe you were too old for the dream team.
He don't want to
You
hear that,
can't
man.
have it both ways. You were
Stop
too
making
old.
sense, bro.
You were right. You were too old. That's why the Bulls beat you. So maybe you're too old for the dream team, even though you're only 1 year older than Michael Jordan. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. You ain't get
Zeke,
old. Yeah, how come half your team went to the Bulls and got titles later? Rodman, Sally, Buddha, James Edwards. I mean,
James
how was
Edwards.
your team old? How was your team old when they went to the Bulls later and got more championships? They weren't old. You just got your ass beat.
he's he comes across as unlikable as hell, man. I know they made the Mary Thomas story and all that back in the day and kind of made him a likable figure, but man, in real life, he has everywhere he's gone, he's been some kind of a problem. I mean, with the Stephon Marbury nonsense or just being Zeke nonsense, his feud with Jordan, it seems like it's one sided because he's always saying things about Mike, but Mike doesn't say anything
Mike
about him.
doesn't care about him,
Mike don't
man.
care, and this guy just says it. It's always the same grievance. There's no, he doesn't try to get a solution or even try to get over it because he acts like that's his identity. Like he hasn't won a championship.
He's mad because Michael took over his city. Isaiah's from Chicago,
Yeah, he's from Chicago, but
and
come on, man.
nobody in Chicago likes Isaiah.
And that's what I was about to say, man. The way I don't think people outside of it. I know people in New York don't like him. Come on, what did he crash the CBA up there in Canada? So he's not well liked over the border either. So I don't know what the deal is with Isaiah. He's just one of those people. Just one of those people. I can only imagine how it is dealing with him in the locker room. You know, he might come with those off-colored jokes or something like that. You know, and no one likes him. They're just kind of like, oh, damn, there he goes again. But I don't know, man. He just didn't come across as a likable dude, and it hasn't seemed like he's been likable since he hasn't been playing. He's been whining all the time ever since.
Yeah,
He's never satisfied. And
I
I
don't
like
know.
Zeke in terms of the way he played and all that, man. I
As
mean,
a
I got him
basketball
on my list, man.
player, he's a legend, man.
Exactly. That's why I got him on my
He had
list at number 10.
skills. He could shoot. He could pass. He had crazy handles,
Oh,
but
I remember that handle, bro. He said, "Put
but
a throw it through his leg like that, bro."
but he ain't played in a long time, and his mouth is doing more work than his game did.
It's trying to store his legacy to the side. That's how it seems, but he don't seem to care about that because he just has his gripe with
I don't
Mike,
know.
and Mike is, and I think Mike not really answering him hurts me even more.
Plus that Game 6 performance on the bad ankle against the Lakers. I mean, that was a legendary performance that night. But
Mm.
when you talk so out of pocket so often, people forget what you did on the court.
Yep, and that's Zeke for you. I think finally, I guess I can go back a little bit with college football, talking about Carson Beck, who decided to go into the draft, and then
Hurricane.
God, I was hoping he
The
didn't come.
blowing of the
He's a
hurricane.
local dude, but God, I'm like, are you serious? Well, he's in Miami now. His girlfriend plays down at on the basketball team. I'm hoping that he does well. But the problem here is this: watching him the way I watched him the last 2 years, he was with Georgia. He did not. He looked well in his junior year because Georgia's that good, and he's made a lot of boneheaded mistakes. Then that's why I was hoping he corrected in his second year. And he looked even worse in his second year, which is this past season. And now he has an elbow injury, so Miami gets him. He's getting around $4 million reportedly playing for Miami, but he's not playing in the spring. I was going to go down there in the spring, but I'm going to probably go anyway because I want to see how the young guys, just in case he doesn't come back. So we won't know anything as Canes fan or even the coaches until the fall drills. And if he's looking bad, then it's like, oh man, what's going on? We better hope one of these young
So
dudes, Emory Williams in particular, is able to do something after the way he looked in Iowa State. But I still don't look at the Iowa State game as anything because you can't expect this dude to be off all that time and throw him in a bowl game and expect him to do some work.
so would you say that's a downgrade from Cam Ward?
Oh yeah, it is. Beck, absolutely, absolutely. He did exactly the only thing. I tell you what, if anyone has an opportunity to make someone or ask someone to come to their team and they can help their value, it is Mario Cristobal because that is exactly what happened with Cam Ward last year, coming out of Washington State. He goes into the draft. They tell him he's a third or fourth rounder. He doesn't like to hear that. So Mario goes back to him because he was already recruiting him before that. And he was going to go to Miami, but chose to go to the NFL. Mario tells him, hey, we can help your draft status. And if there ever were a case where a player had his draft status helped because of that transfer, it's Ward because
Yeah.
he has the potential to be the number one pick overall, but he's definitely a first round draft pick now, completely a far cry from third or fourth rounder. Now, Carson Beck has that opportunity. I just don't think he's going to get the same result. I don't think he's that quarterback. I hope I'm freaking wrong, but I just don't see it.
Maybe Cristobal's the quarterback whisperer.
Well, he is an offensive guy, offensive lineman in the past. Maybe he is, but man, I was whispering to Carson Beck all last season. I guess I'm not the quarterback whisperer. Yo, bro, you got to do better. No, damn. Then I started yelling outside of that, saying, bro, you're just a bad QB. But hey, what we're going to do. Anyways, I guess that's going to be it. So I guess, are you watching tonight's game?
I might. I'll check in and see how it looks.
You check in on it. Exactly, man. Checking in on the game. Yeah. Sitting there with some anticipation, not necessarily. Probably in the beginning to see how players are playing, if they seem enthusiastic or lethargic, and just saying, you know what, it could be that fire. They have a built-in excuse. Guys don't want to make excuses at this level. But man, it's going to be hard not saying this is the reason if they don't look like they want to be out there. So anyway, Thursday's right around the corner. Today's Monday, so this game is going to be over with. And the way these coaching jobs are going now, I'm sure the Jaguars have been interviewing everybody, so they're going to probably settle on somebody. I don't know, between now and Thursday. I'm sure some other teams are going to probably hire a coach now that the Dallas Cowboys job is open. I'm thinking that Jerry Jones, with all eyes on him, like he likes it, he'll probably wait like he for someone like Ben Johnson to become available. He thinks he's going to get a guy like that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see,
Well,
because Bears are hiring like 14, 15 dudes, man.
yeah, exactly, man. There's so many jobs available. Let's not forget John Gruden. He's still another guy out there as well.
I haven't heard him interviewing anywhere, though.
You know, I haven't heard about him interviewing. I just heard his name, but hadn't heard him interviewing. I don't know. Maybe he has that one job in mind locked in. And by the way, they were also talking about Deion Sanders going to the Raiders, and the Raiders said they have zero. No, the Raiders said they have zero interest in him. You know, I was like, man, him going to the Raiders.
Jerry Jones might want him. You
Yeah,
never know.
you know what? Jerry Jones may just want him, but come on, man. Him and those two personalities, that's going to be another Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson deal personality-wise. You know, Deion is going to be a yes man for him, even though they worked together in the past. You know, but anyways, because I don't think Prime is one of these guys that needs a owner or anyone over his shoulder. He's gonna let you know something, man. So I don't think it'll be good entertainment for us to watch them implode and Dallas get worse. That's always a good thing. But until it happens, it happens. He's biased. I'm Trav, and the Sports Bag Bros podcast came at you today on a Monday because of a weekend of sports. Now we're looking forward to Thursday, another day closer to the national championship. I guess we'll make our official picks then. Then there's, of course, more playoff action. The number one seeds are now in action going into this weekend as well. Another step closer to the Super Bowl. Until next time, deuces.
Peace.